Hi guys, welcome to the first ever Caternix Corner live stream. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to check in tonight. While we're waiting, just go over a few things real quick. What we're going to do on this one, it's going to be a topic discussion on the incubator build that we did a few weeks back. The foam board incubator, you can see right behind me here. Basically, the incubator is a forced air incubator that'll hold 240 eggs. It's got 2 shelves in it. You can take out the egg trays and put your hatching boxes in it during lockdown. It takes about 2 days to build, and that's due to the adhesive needing to dry overnight from the first day. The cost, I've got about $50 into each of the incubators, and that's not counting the egg trays or the quail rails. So, all right, looks like we got a few people checking in already. Looks like Green Acre Quail Farm and Hatch Poultry Farms. Hey Dawson, how you doing? Hello from Kentucky. And Richard Carpenter, hello. Hello from Canada, and John McGinnis from Texas. So hello, John. Okay, what we're going to do today is, like I say, this is just going to be real short and informal. I'm not going to keep you guys all night. I got a few questions that I've been collecting over the past few weeks, I guess, about the incubator, and I thought that this would be a good time to answer them. And then we're going to do a raffle drawing for the 60 count hatching eggs. And they are from Hatch Poultry Farms. Dawson up there has graciously agreed to give us 60 hatching eggs of any color that he keeps. So I know we had quite a few people sign up for it, and we'll see who the lucky winner is tonight. Okay, let's see here. Hello from New York, Northeast Louisiana. Don, learning a lot from your operation. Very informative. Well, thank you, Don. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay, let me go ahead and get right into the questions, I guess. The first question, and probably the one that's asked the most about this incubator, is how do you keep the humidity levels up during lockdown? We did solve a few problems that some people up north and out west were having with it. It seems that a lot of people are buying fans, just regular computer fans to put in there. And the problem with those is usually the RPMs and the amount of air that it's moving is way too much. That alone solved probably 4 different cases of not being able to keep the humidity levels up. Another one is surface area of the water. If you put a cup of water in the bottom of the incubator, the opening of the cup, you know, that big around, that's all the surface area you're going to have. If you were to take a cup of water and put it in a pan where it can spread out, that's going to, you know, triple or quadruple your surface area of the water. So it's also going to allow the humidity to come up. Also, some people will take a pan, put water in it, and then stand some sponges up in it. And what that does is the sponges absorb the water up into the sponge, and then it kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, evaporates off the sponges up into the incubator. So basically just remember that you need the most surface area of water. One case in particular we had, the guy put a lot of water in the bottom of it. He had a big pan, still couldn't get the humidity levels up. And I asked him what his humidity was outside the incubator, and he said about 50–60%. So right then and there it told me that he had to have way too much air moving, and either that or too hot of a heat source, and it was just acting like a hair dryer and drying out the air. So also ventilation holes, that was another one I got a lot of questions on. In the video I said that you want to put a couple ventilation holes on the top and 2 on each side. On my first build, I put 3 holes. I got one up there, you can see it's taped off, and then one right there, and another one right about there. I don't have any on the other side. And the only reason I had to tape off the top hole on this last hatch was we had some temperatures that got down into the 40s, and my temperature and my humidity was acting up, so I had to block off that top hole. Let's see. The next question was, this is kind of along with the first one. Can I use a higher wattage bulb in the incubator so it heats up the incubator faster, and thus the lights don't have to be on as long? You can. The only problem is you may have to adjust your fans. I started out with 75 watt bulbs, and it wouldn't hold a steady temperature from the top to the bottom, so I dropped to 60 watt bulbs, and that seemed to work pretty well. Let's see what's next. Was there any questions over here? Okay, yeah, if you guys got any questions, feel free to post them over in the comment section. Like I say, we're trying to keep it incubator related on this one anyhow, and I'll do my best to answer them. One thing I do want to say is, guys, I'm not an expert. I like to build things, and I like to test out different things, and I just do what I know works for me. So what works in my situation may not work in your situation, so just keep that in mind. Okay, let's see who we got now. Charlie from New York, hello. Hatch Poultry Farms, hello, hello. Susan from Springville. Lord Drell 100, hello from North Carolina. Joss Rofer, hello from Orlando. Hello, Orlando. We got B-Bird from Texas, and James watching from Japan. Wow, that's pretty cool. And B-Bird, we use an old wine cooler. Yes, B-Bird, that is a good idea. As a matter of fact, I thought about trying to find one of them until I saw this foam board at Home Depot, and I'm like, you know, I can make that into an incubator, so it works. Okay, the next question on my list that was asked quite a few times was, is it possible to add more shelves so you can get an extra egg turner or an extra hatching box in there? And the answer that I've been giving everybody on that is, yes, you probably can, but you're going to have to make the box a little bit taller, obviously. And you may have to play with the wattage of the bulbs or whatever you're using for a heat source, and the CFMs of the fans. So keep that in mind. I mean, if you do build a bigger box than the one I show in the video, and it works out good, let me know. Maybe we can get some dimensions on that, post them on the channel, and share it with everybody else. Okay, let's see here. Where was I? Beth from Monterey, California. Hello. Oh, and there's UK. Wow, that's pretty cool. UK is cool. You people are staying up late or up awful early, aren't you? Okay, next question was, what egg turners do I use? I use the Little Giant egg turners with quail rails put in. When I built the box, I built the inside dimensions so that the quail rails, so that the Little Giant egg turners would fit in. And also when I built my hatching boxes, they fit in also. Basically, these rails here are about the same width as the egg turners, and you just slide them in and out, and replace them with the hatching boxes when the eggs go into lockdown. So yeah, that's the egg turners are the Little Giant egg turners with the quail rails. This temperature I got, this question I got a couple times in the last few weeks due to the cold fronts that have been moving through the U.S. What's the lowest outside temperatures that the incubator will still operate and function properly? I can't give you a definite answer on that. I can tell you that we had some temperatures that dropped into the mid to upper 30s about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and inside the quail room it was 40 degrees, and the incubator kept up fine. I did have to bump the regulator temperature from 99 degrees up to 100 degrees. When it got up to 100 degrees, the lights would kick off and the temperature would only rise maybe to a 101 from the residual heat off the bulbs, and then it would drop back down. And I noticed also when it was cooler that the incubator was turning on and off quite a bit faster, so it was cooling down a little bit faster than I expected. And I did lay a towel up over the top of the incubator, especially where the door seal was, to try to hold in some of that heat. Okay, careful about the little giant egg turners. The motor heats up as they fail, will ruin your hatch. Okay, that's a good point. I haven't had any issues with mine yet. I do notice the motors do get hot, and I have a thermometer that sticks in this hole here, which is about even with this motor, and it's never got up over 100, so hopefully it's not too hot to affect the temperature, and hopefully it's not going to burn up and fail. Okay, the next question that I've been getting quite a bit of, well, this was early on when we first came out with the video. Have I noticed any hot spots or cool spots in the incubator? When I was testing the incubator, first off, I had the 75 watt bulbs in. I noticed to get the bottom of the incubator to where the temperature I wanted it, the top was a little bit too hot. Then I dropped down to the 60 watt bulbs, and I had a thermometer up here, one in the middle, and then one on the bottom. I also had one in the back near the intake for the forced air chamber, and they were all within a degree of each other. I had 99.7 up here, I think it was, and then about 98.5 down by the forced air intake. So yeah, obviously you can get hot and cold spots, but another thing I do, I put a couple of these bottles in. I'll fill them up with warm water and stick them in the bottom of the incubator. I'll take these trays out, or I'll just set them inside the trays, and as the bottles heat up, it's kind of like warm, a mass of warm air that radiates off the bottles. Just kind of helps to hold the temperatures stable throughout the incubator. Okay, what else we got here? Pam's getting her eggs this week. Lucky you, Pam. During incubation, would you recommend dry hatching or hatching with humidity? Down here in Florida, we have our outside humidity is always over 50%. In my quail rooms, I don't run any kind of air conditioners or anything, so it's just outside air filtering through the shop. I do a dry hatch all the time. I've always done dry hatches from day one. And the only thing I'll do is I'll put a 16-ounce bottle of water in the tray in the bottom of the incubator during lockdown, and I've never had any problems with them. And usually by day 18 or 19, that one bottle of that 16 ounces of water has evaporated into the air. So yeah, good question. Thanks a lot. Let me go back into that. I do the dry hatching because I'm here in Florida. If you're up somewhere up north or out west and your humidity is extremely low, then yes, you want to keep your humidity, at least I think, in the 35 to 45% humidity. And that's during the incubation period, and then into lockdown, crank it up to about 65%, and you should be good. Don says, thank you. He's going to build one. Cool. Post some pictures, Don. We'd love to see it. And Dreamacres Farm Homestead. Hello from Georgia. Hello. All right, cool. All right, where's the next question here? Wires. Everybody asks me about the wires on top of these things. I myself don't care about it looking pretty. I mean, I know it's safe. I've got wire nuts on everything. The only thing I don't like is you've got a plug for each one of the egg turners. You've got a plug that runs the temperature controller, and you've got a plug that runs your fans and your lights. So what I do is I use a UPS, uninterruptible power supply for like on a computer, and that way all my outlets are going to the same place, or all my plugs are going to the same outlets on the UPS. And also, the biggest thing, the reason I'm using the UPS is to protect this thing. It's basically a computer controlled regulator, and any surges or loss of power, they just don't like them. It's just like your computer. And if you did have a power outage, it would keep your incubator running at least long enough till the power came back on, hopefully. Let's see, where was we at? I mean, you could build a junction box, wire everything into a junction box, and then have just one plug to plug in. I don't have that much enthusiasm to do that, so I'll leave it like it is. The next question was, have I had any issues with the Inkbird regulators? I know a couple guys that have called me asking me about that have said that theirs just stopped for no reason, and they lost the hatch. They lost all their eggs. So, and then I read a lot online on Amazon where I order them. Most of the reviews, the comments on them are pretty much positive. I've never had a problem with mine. This incubator's been running almost round the clock for the last 8 months, and it hasn't had any issues. So, excuse me. And that's another reason for the UPS is you want to protect that regulator. I tried thinking of a way to have a fallback in case something happened. It would switch over to another regulator, but that turned out to be too much work, so I didn't actually pursue it. Let's see, where are we at? Do I know how the incubator works with chickens? It does work with chicken eggs. All you got to do is adjust your temperature for the chicken eggs and keep an eye on them until you go into lockdown for them. As a matter of fact, I've hatched out, not bantams, what are they? The chickens with the fuzzy things on top of their heads. Can't think of what they're called. But I hatched some of them out of there, in one of those. So, where are we at here? The holes that we drilled in the top of the side, they were, I believe it's a 3/8 bit. You could go up to a 1/2 inch, is fine. And if it's too much, put a piece of tape over it. And where did I place them? Okay, I've got one here where the blue tape is. And that was done we had some cold weather, so I had to kind of hold in some heat. I've got one about midway, and then I've got another one just about even with the bottom egg turner. And then I have two on top. One of them holds my thermometer, which isn't in there right now. And then I also stick a thermometer in this middle one. So, yeah, you can drill as many holes as you want. Like in the video, I suggest 3 on each side and 2 on the top. And then just, either make plugs for them or tape them over, depending on if you need to hold the heat up or help raise the humidity a little bit. Let's see. We had 1 drop dish soap per gallon of water that we use in the incubators to keep the bacteria levels low to none. Okay, that's a good idea. I usually, after every hatch, I take it outside and I spray it down with Listerine with Pine Sol, let it soak, hose it out, and then I let it sit out in the sun for the rest of the day, and haven't had any problems with that. Let's see, Chris's dad. Who's Chris's dad? I don't know. Let's see, our first quail hatch is on day 7 of incubation. Really appreciate everything you've learned here. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for being part of the channel. Difference between Japanese quail and white quail or California quail, for example. I don't know a lot about the other types of quail. I mean, the Japanese quail is an old world quail, and I don't know about the whites, but the Californians and the bob whites, they would be considered a new world quail. So, yeah, that's a Google question for you. Polish chickens. Nope, they weren't Polish. I'll think of the name before the end of this live stream. How are we doing on time anyhow? Okay, we're good. Do you like the window on the side better than the window being on the front? I just, as a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you what happened here. This was supposed to be the door, and I had it cut out. I already cut it out, and then I realized that it wasn't tall enough to close. So I said, well, I'll put it on the side, and then I'll just put a solid door in front. On the other one, I put it on the front, but they both work, you know, just as well. It's just a glance in there, mainly during lockdown to see when the chicks start hatching. So, all right, let me see if there's any more. There's one more question that I wrote down from the Facebook group and the stuff that I've been getting in my messenger. It's what's the bottle for in the incubator? And basically, yeah, it's just mass. It holds the heat a little bit better. Okay, do we have any more questions in here? Any thoughts on installing a conveyor? You talking about a conveyor underneath the cages for manure? Yeah, I did think about that. The only problem I have is what would I put at the end of the conveyor to catch all the manure? With the tray setup that I have now, I can clean all the birds, scrape the trays, hose them off, and put new shavings on them in about an hour. So to me, it's no big deal. But yeah, it would be nice having a conveyor. I love automation in this stuff. Frees up a lot of time for other things. So silkies, thank you, Ken. That's exactly what they were. I had some silkies. Let's see, how much was the final cost on the incubator? Not counting the egg trays and the quail rails, I had $50 into each of the incubators. You've got $20 for a sheet of foam, and one sheet of 4x8 will do it. You have $15 for the Inkbird regulator, and maybe $5 in fans, and your light bulbs are $5. So yeah, it was $50, under $50, I'm sure. Let's see, how many quail do I have? On average, I have between 150 and 300 at any time. It all depends on how many chicks I have hatched. I just had about 130, I think, or so hatched recently. So they're in the new brooder box. If you saw that video, the brooder box is working great. I think I'm really going to love it. I can fit about 100 birds on each side, so that's going to clear up a lot of wasted time for me, because those little plastic tubs I was using, once the chicks were 5 days old, they could stink that thing up real quick. So I had to clean it like every day to keep the smell down. So hopefully this will work out good with the trays. I don't mind cleaning trays, you know, every 3 days or so. If anybody knows how to build a poop conveyor, feel free to message me. Okay. They're not hard, really. I mean, the conveyor itself, you just need 2 wheels at the end to hold your spindle, I guess it's called. And I've seen online you can order the conveyor material, white conveyor material. I think it's 24 inches or 36 inches. And that's where you run into the money. That stuff's not cheap, and you have to have a way of stitching it together. And I'm not 100% sure how they do it. I've seen them before where they were not pop riveted, but it's some kind of stitching anyhow. So, all right, we are almost a half hour in, and I don't want to keep you guys that are waiting for the egg raffle. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll take a few more questions. And it looks like I'm already getting a few questions. All right, let me get these questions real quick, and then we'll do the raffle drawing. Any problems with heat from the bulbs and the styrofoam? No, none whatsoever. How big is your quail room building? My quail room measures about 12 foot wide and 27 foot deep, but I have a wall in there, so right now it's only maybe 20 foot deep. But I've got another room right now. My computer and stuff is in that room, but I plan on expanding. I'm going to tear this wall down, and that's going to give me room for about 3 or 4 more cages, if my wife will let me do it. Let's see. What would your best advice be for beginners who are new to hatching? Well, I would say get you a halfway decent incubator. You can pick them up pretty cheap. I mean, most towns have like a Tractor Supply or a feed store. you can go there, and they have the little giant type incubators or the Humidity models. I've never had problems with them. Some people don't like them. I would stay away from some of the tabletop models, you know, like the Genoas. They can go either way. I've seen stories where, you know, people have used them for several months, never had a problem, and other people first hatch and, you know, they lost their eggs. So, yes, just start out basically with a halfway decent incubator. Get your eggs from somebody reputable, like Dawson at Hatch Poultry Farms. There's a few other guys, but I'm not going to mention them right now. But you do it, search online. There's quite a few reputable breeders out there that'll do you right. Let's see, a little late for the show. Hi from New York. Hey, Chrissy. That is the main problem, the belt. Yep, you're right, Arnold. Do you have any plans to make your own egg turner? No, I don't. As cheap as these little giant ones are, I really don't need one. I could probably do one as a project, you know, maybe for the channel, but I don't really want to build one, you know, for me to use. Can you hook us up with the dimension of your hatching trays? I sure can. Well, I can tell you the dimensions of the hatching trays are the width of this, so it's going to be 8. They're most likely 18 by 18. They're the same width as the egg turners. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're 18 by 18, and they're 3 inches tall. And I also built a little 1/4-inch hardware cloth cover for them, just framed out with like half by half, and then I stapled the 1/4-inch hardware cloth to it just to make sure none of the chicks can jump out, you know, while they're in the incubator. Let's see. Hey, good night. I built my incubator after seeing yours, but don't know how to send up the picture. Thanks, man. Thanks, Monique. Post it on Facebook. Go to our Facebook group page, Caturnix Corner, and yeah, post the photos there. I'm sure everybody'd love to see it. How long have I been at this? I've been at Quail doing Caturnix now just for this past year. I've been raising farm animals pretty much my entire life. When we moved here, we started in with backyard chickens and did that for a while. Then I got into the Silkies, and thinking that the Silkies would be, you know, being smaller, it would be, I could raise more of them and get away with it. Down here in Florida, backyard chicken breeders can only have 4 hens and no roosters for eggs. And I thought, well, I want more birds than that. So I went into the Silkies thinking, you know, I can produce some eggs and, you know, sell chicks and whatnot. But that didn't work out any better. So I got into Quail, and I'm loving the Quail. The Caturnix are cool. Prior to coming here as a teenager, my father was one of the largest rabbit breeders up in Michigan. We raised Satins and New Zealands, and back then I had some Dutch and Polish and a few Checker Giants. But yeah, that was my early days were rabbits, and then when I moved down to Florida, we had a little farm where I had we had 5 acres, and I had some hogs and turkeys and chickens and ducks and whatnot. And then when we moved here in town, obviously, you know, I couldn't keep as many, so yeah, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, like I say, guys, I am no expert at all on quail. I've had a lot of success with them, and mainly that's from my previous experience with poultry. But I really like the quail. I mean, they're enjoyable. They breed fast. They grow up fast. They lay tons of eggs. I eat 10 eggs every morning for breakfast. I love the eggs. They're just, yeah. So I love the quail. The best quail to start with, as far as Caturnix, I mean, they're all the same. There's just a bunch of different colors. You look at the different colors and see what you like. I mean, they do have some varieties that they're calling jumbos. That's basically just a color of a quail that makes a certain weight by a certain age. And they do grow up bigger. I mean, I've got most of my stuff is jumbos. So, yeah, it's basically, you know, whatever you like. I'm getting into the Italians now. I love the colors of the Italians, and they're producing a lot of eggs, and they're growing big enough to where I can actually butcher and eat them. Okay, thank you, and nice hat. I'm retired Army 1990, 2014. Well, thank you, Arnold, for your service. I am not Army. My daughter knows I like camouflage hats, and this is the only one she could find, so she bought it for me. And yeah, I kind of like it. It's cool. Paying my respects to the military guys. Let's see. Hey, I'm watching you now. I'm in St. Martin. Cool. Got to go there someday. All right. I've held you guys up long enough on the raffle. We're going to go ahead and do it. What I did was I downloaded or I didn't download. Hold on, let me get into this thing. I found a random YouTube comment picker. Let's see if we can get this to where you can see it. Basically, all it did was, if you can see over on the other side, where my finger over here, it's got the little thumbnail of that video, and basically it loaded all the comments. So what we're going to do is have it select a comment, and that will be the winner of the eggs. The only thing we had an issue with, guys, is we had some people from out of the country enter the raffle, and unfortunately we can't ship out of the country. So if one of those comes up, I'm going to have to select another comment, and I do apologize to the guys that are out of the country. So let me see which one okay, it's on this side. Let me get to where you guys can see what's going on. I don't know if it did anything yet. I think it chose one. Hold on, I'll get it here in a minute. Matt, what's his name there? Matt Shrout, S-H-R-O-U-T. East Eagle Point, Oregon. Okay, Matt, well, you are our winner. And if you can, down in the description is my email address. Email me your shipping address, and go to Hatch Poultry Farms and look through his available quail, and you can decide on what colors you want, and just let me know that, and I will forward your information on to Dawson, and he will get a shipment out to you guys. Okay, guys, I wanted to get that out of the way. I didn't want to hold you up this long. It's already 8 o'clock, and I kind of want to get you. So I appreciate you guys sticking around long enough to listen through the questions, and thank you guys for your comments. Yes, congratulations, Matt. I don't know if Matt's in here tonight. If he's not, Matt, like I say, email me and we will get the eggs out to you. Okay, anybody else got any questions real quick? If not, we'll go ahead and pull the plug on this one. Okay, there's a question right there. Do you need a permit for Coturnix quail in Florida to breed and sell within the state? Okay, there's two things in Florida we have to go by. To sell within the state, no. You don't need any type of permit or anything. You can sell eggs and you can sell meat. I just found this out. You can legally sell meat as long as it's not to a commercial operation. Like if you're selling meat to a private individual, then yes, you can do that. The only permit you need is if you're keeping over 50 quail. You do have to get a permit from not the Department of Agriculture. Yeah, the Department of Agriculture, and it's pretty inexpensive. I've dealt with them guys for a long time. I used to keep reptiles, and we had to have a permit to keep reptiles and whatnot. So, yeah, that's basically all you have to do. There's no big deal. And all of my birds, with the exception of what's outside in the bachelor pen, are kept indoors. So nobody even really knows that I have them. So. Okay, can you do a video sometime using quail scissors and maybe some recipes? Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. I love the little scissors. I used to use a serrated knife, but the scissors work so much nicer. We need to make some shipping method how to send eggs to Serbia. Nobody in Serbia breeds quail? I'm sure you should be able to find somebody over there. Dimensions between your trays. I'm not sure what you mean. On some of my larger cages, I have two trays that sit side by side. The tray dimensions themselves are 36 by 24, so maybe that's what you mean. Okay, has anybody else got any questions? If not, I am going to call it a night, and we may be doing another live stream in the future if I can come up with some more heavily commented videos. Like this incubator one, I had a lot of questions on, and as a matter of fact, it is the most viewed video on my channel. I think it's like over almost 25,000 views now, as opposed to 4,000 and 5,000 views for some of the other ones. So, yeah, I'm real happy with that. I was surprised that there were that many people that would be interested in building an incubator. Oh, I know what I want to tell you. I'm going to build a half incubator, a tabletop model. The lid's going to lift off the top, very similar to how a Humidity works, but you'll be able to build it using this foam. And if I can do it cheap enough, well, I don't care how much it costs me to do, but if I can do it to where I think it's feasible for you guys to do it, obviously not more than the cost of a Humidity type model. But yeah, I mean, not everybody needs to incubate 240 eggs at a time. And half the time when I do it, I'll only put 60 in each tray. Just because I don't really need to have 240 birds hatch out at the same time. So yeah, we may do that. That may be one of our upcoming videos. Top tray in the incubator, top tray in the incubator. I think it's, if you're talking about the hatching tray, it's 18 inches by 18 inches. What do you feed your quail chicks, and do you add any nutrition? The quail chicks, I don't know why I have a message that says it's held for review. Don't know what that means. My chicks, I start them on a game bird starter, which is a 30% protein. For the first 2 days, I'll take it, and sometimes 3 days. I'll blend it in I got a Ninja blender, pour a couple cups in there, and just blend it up for a few seconds. And that's what I start them on. And in their water, I do add a electrolyte mineral supplement that mixes in with water. They get that every day until they're feathered out and grow into the grow outs cages, and then they'll go on the right now I'm cut back on electrolyte down to 2 times a week. I was doing it 3, but it's winter time, and I got some birds that have gone off. They're not laying right now, so I'm not too worried about the electrolytes with them. Okay, what are the dimensions of where you place it in the incubator, and how far is it from the bottom? Okay, okay, from the bottom to here is 12 inches. And the bottom to this bottom tray is, I think, 5 inches. So you got 5 inches, 12 inches, and it's 18 inches wide. And I'm not sure of the depth. If you go in the description of this live stream, there's a link to the video on the build. Go in there, it's got all the dimensions. If you look at the description on that video, it's also got a link to a cut sheet. I tell you exactly what size to cut all these boards, so that should help you. Okay. All right, any other question, guys, before we wrap this up? Okay, well, I guess we'll call it a night then. I want to thank everybody who stopped by and joined in on this live stream. Like I say, it was the first one. We may do another one in the near future. I'm not sure exactly when. I just went back to work recently, and it's kind of got my schedule really messed up as far as the quail goes. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Congratulations on the winner for I already forgot his name. Isn't that terrible? Where'd he go? Matt. Congratulations, Matt. Sorry about that. Don't forget to email me the shipping information and the color birds you want. from Hatch Poultry Farms. So thanks a lot, guys. Have a great night, and we'll see you on the next one.